So a lot of people have been asking me what I think about Wizards of the Coast ending the dual decks. This is a product that's been around for about a decade, and it's a product that I've had mixed feelings about. Some of the dual decks I think have been great. Some of them have been less than stellar. One thing I think we can all agree on, though, is that dual decks was a product that never really lived up to its potential. It was one of the best ways, one of the best products to recommend to people when they were either getting back into Magic or they were new to Magic. It was probably my most recommended product by a wide margin for new or returning players. You have a product that for about $20, anybody could pick up and get some balanced games in. Now, some versions were more balanced than others, but for the most part, I would say they worked for this. And to share an anecdote, my friend was over here from the UK, a longtime Magic player, and he was speaking at a convention, and we were hanging out in between events. And you know what I brought? I brought Dual Decks Anthology. 10 decks. Not only did we play them against the ones that they were originally pitted against, we randomly selected decks from the 10 and played them that way. Now, they weren't always the most matched or the most level playing fields, but overall, it was a great way for us to kill about 4 hours playing Magic the Gathering. And when we had to go to the party back at the hotel, I put the decks back in my backpack, and that's actually where they sit right now still. So the dual decks were a great way to play Magic the Gathering in a casual way, a great product for kitchen tabletop players, a product that offered options for alternate art, something they never really explored well enough, in my opinion, something they dabbled in, but one of the big reasons it failed is it just didn't add enough value. Now, the biggest problem, in my opinion, with dual decks was not that they were not interesting. It was that Wizards seemingly went out of their way to make them boring, to not reprint any cards that needed reprints, to not fully commit to providing unique and alternate arts for staple cards. You know, part of the reason that their Commander precons work so well is because anybody can pick them up and get into a game of Commander. That was what works great about these dual decks. However, the Commander decks, in my opinion, often do a better job of reprinting cards that needed to be reprinted. The dual decks, for some reason, never wanted to do this. They didn't ever want to put, in my opinion, there was really no reason that dual decks shouldn't have had fetch lands in them while they were in print. Wizards was afraid that if they put too good of cards in these, that people wouldn't buy packs. Well, you could put shock lands in them. You could have put filter lands in them. You could have given the value to the players and combated the high price of modern or standard, but you just refused to do it. For 10 years, you refused to do it. This is not the fault of the dual deck, in my opinion. This is the fault of the execution. Wizards is one of the worst companies I've ever seen when it comes to execution. They have a great product and often have great ideas, but they completely fall apart when it comes down to executing it. The list goes on and on of things that fit this mold. I mean, one of the best gifts I've ever seen Wizards put out, Christmas time, one of the best gifts for any Magic player, once they finally corrected the weak boxes, was the holiday gift box. Why on God's green earth why would they cancel that product? Not only cancel a product that I recommended every single Christmas as a great gift for any Magic player, because you could go and you'd have a card box, you'd have a couple packs, it was a great gift. You go and replace it with something that is literally the worst gift I would recommend for any Magic players. I would recommend basic land packs over that new garbage gift box. It's like every time they have a good idea, they have to self-sabotage it. If the gift box wasn't selling good enough for you, why wouldn't you just throw one extra booster pack in there? Or You know those awesome Christmas promos that everybody always wants, but local game stores only get one of them? What if they were in those? Everybody would buy them. Just print those stocking tigers and all those really cool Christmas promos, and you put just one in each holiday gift box, maybe one random one from history. Everybody would buy them. And not only that, you could have raised the price. I don't understand. I struggle so much to understand why they ended the gift box. And for this very same reason, I struggle to understand why you end dual decks. They weren't always great, but your execution is why they weren't wildly popular. It wasn't that people didn't want dual decks. Casual players always need a way to just plug in and play the game. I don't understand. I don't know what I can tell people now to purchase. I'm not going to tell people to buy these challenger decks. Here we go again. I mean, we have challenger decks, a recycled event deck. The event deck that originally came out, the event decks failed miserably. Now, Wizards did they dabbled in doing some good things with including cards of value, including many rares in these. But they could never produce a deck that was actually competitive at the FNM level. And that's where they're going to fail again with these challenger decks. Now, I don't know what the MSRP is going to be. My guess is $30 to $40. And as a lot of people point out, Wizards themselves, Brian at Tolarian, whose opinion I mostly agree with, except for this one thing. He talks about there being a hole where Magic players show up at a local game store and they want to play FNM, but you have this awkward conversation where now you have to say like, yeah, you're gonna need like $400, and here's a list of singles. We don't have most of them. You're gonna have to go online to get the rest of them. I get it. I don't think I disagree that there is a need for this type of product, but I disagree that challenger decks are going to be a good option. Now, they've said that there's going to be many rares and even a couple of mythics in each one of these event decks or challenger decks. And they're actually going to have several different versions. So when I look at the breakdown, it's a 75 card deck. It's a full 60 plus a full 15 sidecar, a spin down, and a quick reference guide. They're going to be all cards that are standard legal, and each challenger deck will contain everything I already said. Oh, the MSRP they do say is $30, so it looks like I was right on the money there. And you have Gavin Verhey, the product architect for this, talking about R&D bringing top strategies of standard to your local game store shelf. Our play design team is full of seasoned pros, built these decks at popular and successful Pro Tour and Grand Prix events, and we did not pull many punches. Decks are intended to be very strong and feature many rares as well as at least 2 mythics. Traditionally, with fixed deck products, we've built them so far in advance the decks wouldn't look like what players are playing by the time they were released. This is very fair. An important thing to do, the most important thing in correcting a mistake is understanding what your mistake was, and they're dead right about this. I thought their decks were very underpowered, but they were also just not up to the meta, and it's just, they stunk. With the challenge decks, they changed their entire process so that they'll be able to build them much closer to release. Now, remember that their R&D team, assuming that they're actually good and they don't have more like Saheeli Rai and Smuggler's Copters, ignoring these horrendous mistakes, they know the sets that are coming out. They should have a pretty good idea using their future leagues what standard's going to look like. So my hope is that they overpower these decks. There's really no drawback to overpowering these decks, unless you talk to the board members at Hasbro. This is why I think these decks will fail. Ultimately, Wizards of the Coast wants to sell booster packs. If they are unwilling to tax the secondary market and make these decks like $99, almost any combination of high power cards are going to reduce the number of packs new players buy. And this is going to make them afraid. It's going to make them actually pull punches, in my opinion. The other thing that I disagree with a lot of people on is that while I agree there is a hole in the product cycle, I'm interested in Magic. I want to go to Friday Night Magic. I don't have a deck. Let me buy this thing. I don't think somebody spending $30 on a deck and going 0-4 or 0-6 every single week in Friday Night Magic is a great way. It's not going to encourage them to come back. Competitive people want to play competitive Magic. Competitive people don't like spending $30 and losing every single game in a rout. And that's what's going to happen if these decks aren't severely OP. So I think the sliver of opportunity for these to be successful, and I want them to be successful because I want more people playing Magic, is that if they actually are able to deliver on a highly competitive deck, if they actually understand the meta 6-8 months in advance. We've seen that they do not. They printed Saheeli Rai. They printed Smuggler's Copter. I have to pull for them, though, because ultimately if this product is affordable and does what they want, then this is a great win for all Magic players. I disagree that this should have come at the expense of dual decks, which I think hurts casual Magic players, and I think that was a big mistake. Overall, though, I'd love to hear what you all think. I know most of my subscribers lean towards the casual mark, so I'm curious what you have to say down in the comment section down below. I hope you had a great holiday, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to be notified the next time I upload a video, make sure you subscribe and click that damn bell so you actually get notified. If you want to support the cause of this channel, it survives based on the amazingly gracious support of my patrons. Link is in the description if you'd like to help out.